Hi everybody, Cyberrev here. I want to speak to you today on a very important subject entitled Universal Energy. And I want to start out by sharing some important quotes with you. Think of the word the words universal energy. Just think about it. Pause, meditate, relax. Calm your mind, your soul, your spirit, your thinking. Just take control of your thinking and thoughts and try and stop your world within for a few seconds or minutes to ponder the words universal energy. I would like to share some quotes while you think on these words universal energy. Regardless of what religion you may think you belong to, you attend, you're a member of, I want you to listen with an open mind and an open spirit of the importance of the words universal energy. I want to try to share and teach and coach how those two words, universal energy, has been ignored by educational systems and institutions, including religious and denominational institutions and congregations and establishments worldwide. Even if you're Muslim, Buddhist, universal energy is what can bring us all together under one creator, under one universe, under one wisdom, under one knowledge, under one understanding, under one love, under one unity, under one peace. Universal energy is something that most people ignore and most people have never heard of and most people do not understand. Let me just read a couple of quotes of some people who have understood universal energy. The first person is Wayne Dyer, or the late Wayne Dyer, and he says, "There is not a separate God for each person. There is one universal intelligence flowing through all of us." I want to repeat that. There is not a separate God for each person. There is one universal intelligence flowing through all of us. Wayne Dyer. Mahatma Gandhi says every formula of every religion has this age of reason to submit to the acid test of reason and universal assent. Let me read it again without interjecting. Every formula of every religion has, in this age of reason, to submit to the acid test of reason and universal assent. Mahatma Gandhi. Aristotle. Hence, poetry is something more philosophic and of graver import than history, since its statements are rather of the nature of universals, whereas those of history are singulars. Aristotle. Dalai Lama. Today, more than ever before, life must be characterized by a sense of universal responsibility, not only nation to nation and human to human, but also human to other forms of life. Stephen Covey. Moral authority comes from following universal and timeless principles like honesty, integrity, treating people with respect. It's amazing how we think we know life. We think we know truth. We think we know religion. We think we know right. We think we know wrong. We think we know what is truth, what is love, what is peace, what is intelligence, what is education. And the sad thing about it, 99.9% of what we think we know and have learned or haven't even learned in this world of education and human intelligence is deception, lies, fables, myths, man made. And note the word man made because we have not understood or we have corrupted, mistranslated what is really true. Another quote I want to share with you is from Oprah Winfrey, and it reads, I learned that I could control my life. You are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your soul. I took control and went to my space. My space. The universal energy. I tapped into that space of divine flow where all beings, all things are connected. That space is real. You cannot have a meaningful life without having spiritual self reflection. Know who you are and why you are here. When you tap into that space, divine flow, that universal energy, you become untouchable in what you are called to do. Oprah Winfrey. I cannot explain fully in this video all the things that I want to share with you. How long of a road it has taken me to fully put together the jigsaw puzzle of what is truth, what is education, what is wisdom, what is intelligence, what is spiritual, what is carnal, what is good, what is evil in this world over a period of no less than 40 years. I want to try to share some things and start from when we're young, when we're born, without making this video too long. Imagine when you're born. You're born, and we are all born into energy. We're born into energy from the start, universal energy. A nurse in the delivery room, once that human being, that child, is delivered from the womb, slaps the child and probably the rear to awaken that child, or breathes oxygen into the mouth of that child to get that child to cry, make a noise, show some form of energy, movement. That's why when we move our hands, that's energy. When we smile, that's energy. When we walk, that's energy. When we cry, that's energy. When we open up our eyelids, that's energy. We're born into energy, but not just any energy, universal energy. And this is the center, the core of all the quotes that you've heard and I have read and I have shared and they have shared. And this is what we need to understand, because this is the only thing we need to understand in this life. Don't call it mysticism. Don't call it religion. Don't call it denomination. Don't call it of Jesus. Don't call it of Buddha. Don't call it of Muhammad. Take things back to the first root, when we all heard and knew of such information or education. That's what I do. That's what I want to share with everyone to do. When you take it back to the root, it is either going to be written on animal skin, on stone of a cave, on stone of a hieroglyph, but it will not be written on paper because paper is too modern, too mistranslated, too corrupt to be truth. Stone, that's why we have the pyramids. Stone, that's why we have the hieroglyphs. Animal skin, that's why we have scrolls. That's why we have pictorial pictorial that you think is not a language but is a language, the original language. But because Westerners did not understand what they were looking at, they created things that they thought was what they're looking at. But I want to keep this on universal energy. And universal energy, when you teach a child, when a child is born, and teach that child that you have been born of universal energy. You have been born of the Creator. The Creator has allowed the sperm of a man and the womb of a woman and used Creator with co-creation. The act of sex is sexual energy. The act of speaking is energy. The act of touching is energy. The act of moving is energy. So there's different forms of energy is my point. But those energies are co-creating with the Creator at all times. That's why when you think and use your energy, you can think the right thoughts or you can think evil thoughts. But it's all energy and it manifests into karma. And that's why we all will be judged by our karma, our thoughts, our actions, our desires, our beliefs. It's almost as using an analogy, we have our own database system. And that's why technology is now trying to track and use facial recognition and sensors to get as close as it can to the human being, to track the human being, to understand the human being so that technology can overtake the human being or prompt the human being to do certain things to control the actions of the human being and take mind control and machine learning and Internet of Things to an unbelievable pace that potentially, once it overtakes the human being, which it already pretty much has, it just hasn't got close enough to the human mind and brain to overtake it. But if it does that, and technology is ahead of the human instead of the human being ahead of the technology, we're in a problem. Because now you live in a prompted world and a controlled world, and you have to do certain things in order to get certain things done. But the one thing that the human being must understand they need is universal energy. And when you understand universal energy and you move by universal energy and you operate by universal energy only, that means that you do not have to go down to a wooden building or a brick building or a mosque or a synagogue or listen to someone and pay someone to do something for you week in, week out. When you have universal energy, instantly, the minute you wake up every day, throughout the day, 24/7. So it's about understanding how to use your universal energy, how to tap into your universal energy, which every single day, the minute you open your eyes, you have been given universal energy. And that universal energy, a lot of people use it for all different things. But let's come back to as we are born, as we become child and we learn to walk. We learn to ride our first bicycle. We learn to stand against using the chair or using your mother or father's knee or hand. And then we grow, we evolve in universal energy, not evolution, not the Big Bang. This is universal energy. So all understanding, wisdom, thinking comes from universal energy. It doesn't come from anywhere else. In fact, we could learn one subject from birth to the afterlife. Yes, afterlife. And that one subject on the curriculum of every single school, every single university, every single college, the only subject we would need to teach is universal energy. Only subject. And that would take care of every single thing from religion, denomination, career, business, family, life, living, everything, thinking, everything, achieving, everything, power, everything. Whether you have used that power and knowledge, wisdom, and understanding for good or evil, that's the only two choices. That is why you have young teenagers as early as 12 joining gangs, going down the wrong road because they have not been taught universal energy. You've got 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds getting into drugs and weed and all kinds of different things because they've not been taught universal energy. They're looking at the world and they're choosing which celebrity or which lifestyle or which gang or which culture I'm gonna follow. What makes me feel good? What gets me high? Because they need the understanding of universal energy, and this is why I'm making this video. Not just for the teens, not just for the youth, not just for single people, but married people, disabled people, elderly people. We need to come back to the truth. Right? The truth is universal energy. We need to come back to wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, unity, love. We cannot keep going down this road of what we think, what the world teaches, what the world's doing. Because if you look at the world is actually moving against universal energy. It's trying to create its own education, its own mind control, its own thinking, its own destiny. And it's more on it's either on the good side, it's on the evil side. And it clearly is on the evil side, worldwide. That's why we have COVID-19. That's why we've had all these super diseases, Ebola, HIV, because universal energy doesn't create these things. These are man-made things. Universal energy is pure. It's love. It's power. It's peace. It's unity. It's designed along with the planets Pluto, Mars, Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, and all these mechanisms of the universal kingdom. When you understand the universal kingdom is complete. That's why he says it is good. The creator said that, nobody else. That's why he said, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in what? Heaven. And if anyone wants to know where heaven is, just look at the sky. We're not talking religion. We're not talking no Matthew. Matthew got it from somewhere else. And I'm sure Matthew got it. Matthew, Luke, John, all of that did not exist. These are mythical characters of narrators and want to control narratives. They want to control the narratives and the images of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Jesus, and all these other mythical characters that did not exist. Yes, I said Jesus did not exist. Go do the research. He did not exist. 33 years cannot replace 100,000 years. We need this understanding. That's why when it comes to universal energy, it will replace every single thing that we think we know, and everything that we think we believe, and everything that we think is true. And universal energy will do things in your life what you really desire, even if you have no money, no education, no friends, no family, no idea of who you are. If you listen to this video recording and understand what you see and hear and go and research it, or sit in the park, which is actually how I understood it or began to understand it, by just sitting in the park, talking, conversating with the Creator, expressing and using my energy regardless of how I felt. But when you speak to the universe with a sincere and true heart, at any time, any place, you will receive answers if you are determined and ambitious and persistent, because you're using that energy to find out sincerely who you are and what you desire. It's a real experience with real, real results. And that's why we need to come back to universal energy. We need to come back to an open mind with the universe, open lifestyle, not a structured one, not one that we've been handed down by our parents, not one that we've been forced to read from a Bible that was written for specific reasons which are not good. That's why everything in the Bible is white, or everything in the Bible is pink, and everything from Pharaoh to Africa is seen as black and evil and wrong. These things have to be corrected, because there's no such thing when it comes to universal energy. Universal energy, no one can own it. That's why we have the sky above our heads. That's why every single day you notice that seasons are controlled by the planets, controlled by the universe, controlled by the cosmos, controlled by the Creator. No government, no person can take control of light and night, stars and moon, sun, seasons. They cannot take control of that. That is why we need to come back to universal energy and understand in 2020 and understand in 2021 all the way to 2030, 2050, 2060, 2080. If we're still on earth, alive, you have the power with universal energy to actually determine your afterlife. That's why the real kings and queens, the real gods and goddesses of Ra, the oldest name of the Creator, if you do your research and understand it, and when they tell you that's a myth, it's not a myth. They've told you it's a myth. They've told you that Pharaoh was evil. They've created an exodus to bring the so-called children of Israel. How can you have Israel in the Bible when Israel was created in 1948? For Israel to be in Genesis, that means Genesis was written in 1948, because Israel was created in 1948. It is called Yisrael with a Y, which is completely different, because if you look at the word Yisra, Ra is in Israel. Israel is actually Ra. Then you've got L on the end, and they've made the L God. Go research the L God. Go look at who the L God is with the EL on the end of Yisrael or Israel. And it should be Yisrael only of Ra, not the El God. Go do the research. That's why we have to look. They've used words. Man has used words, and religions have used words, and denominations have used words to twist things. The first King James Bible of 1611, there's no J. So even King James did not even know who Jesus was, because he didn't put it in there, because there was no J. And if you wrote Iusos, and it states, means hail Zeus, that's different types of God. That's the Roman deities versus the truth and the root of the hieroglyphs and the pyramids, the real kings and queens who gave us mathematics, who gave us alphabet, who gave us Heru, which means hieroglyphs, or also sky. So Heru is the real sky. That's where the sky comes from, Greek. We've got to get the understanding. We've got to get the knowledge, the wisdom. So the actual real people who come from real kings and queens are the people of Amerindian and Africa. The, the Garden of Eden is Africa. Where else on planet Earth could you have all the species, exotic fishes, exotic plants, all these exotic things, exotic fruits, with rhinos and elephants and lions and tigers and zebras and all these different things, all these species that the Garden of Eden speaks about? You couldn't have them running around Europe. You couldn't have them running around America. When's the last time you've seen a zebra or elephant running around America? Or a zebra or elephant running around Europe? It has to have been Africa as a whole. I'm trying to show you something. I'm trying to show you the solution in 2020, 2030, 2050, 2080, over all your life, regardless of your age. I'm trying to show you universal energy is all you need to understand in order to be and do anything that you desire for good. And you know it works for evil because you see it works for evil. And I'm also reaching out to the teens and the youth, the gangs of all cultures, all nations. What are you doing with your universal energy? When you wake up and you try to be of a gang, that energy is evil. That's why evil's chasing you. That's why you have to sleep with a gun. That's why you have to sleep with an AK-47. That's why you have to sleep with a Glock. That's why you have to walk and look around everywhere you go, even at the local store. As for the racist GOP people, the Republican people, who you think you're supporting, man, and you want to stand with your guns and your ammunition, and you think you have privilege, you have no privilege. You have no privilege whatsoever. You think you have privilege. What you really have is racism. What you really have is denial of truth. You think you own America. America, look at the history. America is Amerindian. Period. Just because you invade something and rape something and steal something and take over something and call yourselves crusaders and discoverers instead of thieves and murderers and liars doesn't mean you own it. This is truth. This is universal energy. And this is karma. This is why right now nothing's happening, because the planets have taken over control of everything in 2020, and it's going to take control of everything all the way through to 2050. You think I'm joking? Watch and see. It's not going to do things to harm people. It's taking over because it's tired of deception, tired of lies. And when people understand universal energy, they will ignore gangs. They will ignore racism. They will ignore man-made things. They will ignore technologies of evil. They will ignore and resist mind control. They will ignore these things because they know who they are. They know what they believe. They know they are eternal. They know they're kings and queens. They know the truth will set them free. If you're on social media, leave a comment, send a tweet, share this video on YouTube. We have to arise within ourselves. We have to love first ourselves. And universal energy is that gift, that love, that force given to us automatically day by day. Thank you for listening.